Day, hump day.
Beep.
Titans got a big one coming up this weekend, division game, first one of the season against those Indianapolis Colts. And, I mean, when you're going to talk Titans, why not talk to the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, who joins us now at TNN Voice on Instagram. You want to get behind-the-scenes stuff, you need to get behind Mike Keith on Instagram. It's a fantastic account to follow, Mike. I'm loving it.
Thank you. You're very kind.
We finally got you on social media, and then you're just blowing everybody out of the water with all this great content.
Well, you're nice to say that. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I'd like to think we're trying to show people some things that we haven't had a chance to show them before, and that's kind of the idea for doing it. And people have been very nice about it, and it's been a lot of fun. It really has, and we've got a few more things planned that we're going to keep doing. And yeah, it's just kind of one more way we hope people can follow the Titans.
Well, and I mean, the 25th year of this Tennessee Titans organization being the Titans, and there's a guy sitting across from me, and he was one of the original Titans and was also an Oiler before he was a Titan. And you guys are doing all this great content, speaking of content, and one of those pieces of content is something called the Blaine game. You sent that this morning, yeah?
Oh, the Blaine
awesome.
game.
Maybe didn't get to see his email today. I had goosebumps watching that, and the great John Dwyer, who people remember with such a fantastic career at News 2, got to narrate it. But, woo, people are going to be fired up when they see this.
Yeah, we picked John Dwyer because, he was one of the first guys to cover the team, and he was always one of the lead guys covering the team because he did Coach Fisher's TV show, and he was just very connected. The other thing, too, is like Blaine, he's an Indiana native. And we're doing these bits called Titans at 25, sponsored by Bud Light, and we're doing either 10 or 11. We'll see how many we end up doing. But the second one is called Blaine's Game, and John hosts it, and other people certainly talk during it, and it's about Blaine's performance on January 16th, 2000 in the playoff game at Indianapolis in his hometown, which we feel like is one of the greatest defensive performances by a single player in Titans history. It was a phenomenal game. It's a game that's often forgotten because it falls in between the Music City Miracle game and the playoff game, the AFC Championship game at Jacksonville, and then Super Bowl 34. But this in and of itself was a spectacular game. There are great stories. I wish we could tell all of the stories about what happened on that trip because it was really crazy. And from getting to the hotel and 3,000 people being in the hotel to landing at B&A and 10,000 people waiting on us at the airport, people pulling off to the side of the road as the buses went by. I mean, it's crazy. The whole thing was so much fun. And we had a great time going back and watching this game. A lot of the video we chose to use in the Blaine's Game feature is game film. It's not just typical NFL films. We have some of that in there, but we wanted to show some game tape too. So it's a little different, and we're proud of it. And Jack Mummert did a fantastic job putting it together for us, and it'll be out this week for everybody to have a chance to see on Titans All Access and the Titans YouTube channel as well.
Oh, man, I really appreciate that, man. That's going to be lit, man. I can't wait. Anytime you want to give a dagger to the Colts, man, I'm all in.
Us too.
Yeah, no doubt. So hopefully we get a win this week, right?
Mike
That's
Keith,
the idea.
hanging out with us here on Blaine and Mickey, talking about Blaine's Game, the feature coming out. You can catch everything at TennesseeTitans.com and via all the Titans social media channels.
Yeah, voice of the Tennessee Titans. Mike, man, thanks for coming on and doing that piece. Naturally, the ups and downs of this season already in 4 games is kind of being inconsistent. I think it's kind of the league, too, though. It's not just the Titans. So I want to focus on the Titans. And what do you see so far on the offensive side from Tim Kelly? And is it some reason that it's away or home, or is it more based off the opponents and how he's calling plays? Because I've liked what I've seen. Even in the losses, I don't think you could say anything about the Cleveland Browns game that anybody likes. That was a tough for any quarterback or any offense to do well. But outside of that, hey man, I've kind of been a little bit impressed. Maybe you didn't get the wins that you wanted, but I like what we're doing, threatening the vertical game in the passing game more so than we
Sure.
ever have in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's a really exciting thing to see what Tim's doing. And Sunday's game was the first time it's been on full display because the Titans were firmly in command of that game. And so he could do a lot of, he's in a 3-3 game, then he's in a 10-3 game, then he's in a 17-3 game right before half. And, when you're in command, you can do a lot of different things. When you're down by 21 points, you just have to drop back and throw. And you've got to send 5 people into the route because you need to go get points as quickly as you can. So it's not like you can reinvent the wheel. I think you're starting to understand what he's all about. I think you see his concepts in the run game. I think you see the utilization of both backs, even in situations together, which I think is a great matchup thing because it's hard to exactly know what, if Derrick Henry's on the field, they're going to go, oh, Derrick Henry. And then if Tajay Spears is on the field at the same time, they're going to go, well, what do we do with him? When he lines up in the slot, who do we put on him, or where can he go? I think, using multiple tight ends, using multiple backs, obviously going with a combination of all of the above and, 3-4 wideouts, empty, what they've done with play action again. Yeah, but you see it. I mean, you could see what he wants to do. I think what he would tell you right now is they're not fully formed to where they want to be able to get into that sort of rhythm. And I think that's what this week's about, Blaine. I think this week is about taking last week and being able to add to it, not just from a good performance, but also from the standpoint of who they are and further cementing that overall identity, offense, defense, and special teams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You want to always build on that. And the reason why I say these things is because, some of I don't want to call them trick plays, Mike. What are the plays that were designed, even in the same game where, Tannehill missed 2 guys that was well designed. You can tell he's all in the film room. And every game has been one. I mean, D-Hop missed one. I'm sure he would say he would have caught that one on the double, reverse or whatever you want to call that, throwback pass. And so I just think, I think we got some exciting things to do. If the offensive line can give us some consistency throughout this season, I think it's going to help out a lot. So with me saying that, what do you think is going to happen here with MPF and guys, Skoronski, if he's available, coming back? How would you implement, playing them, or would you start them right away, or how would you go about that whole process?
Well, Petit Frere and Skoronski are on the field right now.
Oh, okay, great.
And so, they're back to work, and we'll see where they are. Skoronski dropped some weight, as everybody always does when they go through an appendectomy. And so he's got to get his strength. For Nick, he's not had a chance to do any football in a month. And as they worked him during the course of training camp, he generally worked with the third team because he wasn't going to be available, they thought, for 6 games, and as it turned out, 4 games. So how quickly can he get ready? And then where do they feel like, everybody ought to go? At this point, let me say this, Blaine. I think big moment for this ball club over the next couple weeks, and certainly into the bye, they're going to have a chance to have their best 5 on the field now. That's what they have. Who those are, I don't know. I'm not enough of an expert to know how everybody grades and what they're asking everyone to do. But, those guys are on the practice field as we speak. And so let's see if we can't, be able to ascertain from here who's in shape, who's ready to play, and where they need to be slotted.
Do you think the success of this team as of right now, where the team is built more around how well the offensive line plays or how well the defense plays?
Defense, because I think the defense can be dominant, and I think that can get you through some of the problems you knew you were going to have offensively early on with all of the changes, and also for the fact that if the defense is dominant, then it doesn't put as much pressure on the offense, and they can do what it is they're ready to handle as they're ready to handle it. And, I mean, I've just thought all along, what you saw on Sunday is, I think, what they are capable of being. You'd love for it to be 3 points every week. It won't be 3 points every week. But can they take the ball away? Can they sack the other team's quarterback? Can they stifle the run? Can they hold people to field goals? Yeah, I mean, they can. I mean, there's real talent because you've got some great players in different spots. You've got some really good players in other spots. You've got some elevating players in spots. And then you've just got good, solid pros. And you know this better than anybody, having played with a lot of them. I mean, just some of those guys who know what to do and do it and just go out and play, and maybe they're not spectacular. They sort of provide that brick and mortar to build the foundation, and it allows the other guys to do the special things at times.
With the voice of the Titans, the VOTT Mike Keith graces with his presence.
Yes. The Titans will face a big presence, the defense that you were just talking about in Indy, named Anthony Richardson. And so far, he kind of looks like he did in college, where he's capable of mind-bending things, and then he's also capable of completing about 55% of his passes, and also capable of hurting you with his legs. But he is a big person that presents a big challenge.
Yeah, I think you're going to see more zone against him going forward. His passer rating against man-to-man is roughly 135.
Yeah.
And the other thing about them, it's kind of surprising from a standpoint, too, because quarterbacks who run a lot generally don't see a lot of man-to-man because you don't want those defenders to turn and run with the receiver and then have Richardson run right by him. So that will be an interesting thing, is that you have to be more controlled, because if you go crazy against this guy, he'll go 80 yards on you. I mean, he'll just do it. I mean, he's capable of doing that from an athletic standpoint. He is much more of a playmaker right now than he is that smooth quarterback, which you knew he would be. I mean, he's a rookie. He's young. I mean, he didn't play a lot of football at Florida. So you understand it's going to take some time. But let me tell you the hidden thing about Shane Steichen that you need to know. Shane Steichen, the new head coach, spent 9 total years with the Chargers, 7 on the offensive side. And then he went to Philadelphia for 2 years as the coordinator. They averaged 154 rushing yards per game. And you say, well, that's great. Turn and hand it to a back. But remember who he had running that show. Jalen Hurts. And so he knows how to not only build off the run game, to build off the play action, but get those quarterback runs in there and get them blocked. Not just the off-schedule plays, the scheduled plays. So he is the perfect head coach / offensive mastermind, with the help of Jim Bob Cooter, who from Fayetteville, Tennessee, is an outstanding offensive coach in his own right. But they know how to best set this kid up. And he did it with Hurts, and I think that's what you're seeing him do with Richardson. That's the scary part of Steichen being the head coach, is he understands perfectly how to set this offense, and I think they've done a whale of a job. I mean, he's playing really, really good football. It reminds me a lot of what Vince Young did in the early part of his starting time with the Titans, where people hadn't seen that. The Titans were very creative, came up with different things, and gave Vince a chance to win. That's what this kid is having a chance to do right now. And their defense is good enough that if their offense can score, which they have, then the defense can make enough plays for them to win games. And, they may well end up being one of the surprise teams in the NFL based on it being the right people, the right coaches, the right players at the right time.
Hanging out with the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, right here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, before we let you go, Mike, I guess what has surprised you the most with the Titans thus far, or disappointed with the most? And what has disappointed you, I guess, more so?
Well, I think the performance at Cleveland was the disappointment. I don't know that a lot has surprised me. What we've sort of seen is what I felt like we would see. The continuity part of what they had on defense, I think, put them far ahead of the offense. And you think about this, all these new coaches on offense, new scheme, 24 new players with the majority of those guys on offense. It just takes time. And so I think how bad it was at Cleveland, that was the surprise and the disappointment, because you just don't see teams have that bad a day. And then they come back and they have equally as good a day going 180 degrees away from that. Now what you want to do is iron that out and get that sort of consistency. And that's why I'm so interested in this matchup. I'm interested in all of them. I work for the team. But the bottom line is I want to see where they go from here. And I think they're going to be milestones with this team. The first 6 games were a big deal in my mind entering the season. And you want to stay afloat. You want to be in the mix. You'd love to be 4-2, 3-3, certainly not the end of the world. 2-4 is really not, but you don't want to be there. You want to stay right in this thing, because I think over the last 11, with 6 home games and 5 division games, I think it grows a lot more intriguing in terms of what this ball club can become. I don't think you will recognize this team in week 18 from what you saw in week 1, 2, 3, or 4.
There you have it.
Fantastic stuff, Mike.
Yeah, no
As
doubt.
always, we'll be listening to you and Coach Mack and crew on the call on Sunday like we always do. We turn the TV down. We turn the radio up. Follow Mike on social media at TENN Voice. You will not be disappointed there. Sometimes you even give stuff away, so people need to jump in line and get their hands on some of that stuff.
Hey, can I invite people to the OTP, the Official Titans podcast, which will be out tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Bob Mueller from News 2 joins me. He's been in the market for 43 years, and he knows a lot of history. He's told some really, really good stuff. He told one story that I didn't know about the Music City Miracle. And
I'm tuning in, man.
You just hooked us all. You just hooked us
I knew
all.
he would be good. I knew he would be good. He's part of our Titans at 25 series. We have a lot of various people who are taking part and are being very kind to us to do that. But I think you'll really enjoy this.
Oh, I'm in 100%. TennesseeTitans.com and all Titans social media channels. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Always great to catch up.